Hello, little cats and burgers. This is our fifth and final lesson, which is going to be finding the equation of parallel perpendicular lines. So this is not just the slope now, we got to find the whole damn equation. So let's look at our first question. We have to write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that passes through 8, -1 and is parallel to this line, okay? Now, first step is we're going to identify a few things. We know for this line, it's going to have the same slope because lines that are parallel have the same slopes. So the slope of this guy, our m, is equal to -4, right? Because it's going to have the same slope. The second part is we have to say that this line is going to be going through our x value of 8 and a y value of -1, all right? So these are the three things we know about our line. It has to have a slope of -4, it has to pass through x of 8 and y of -1. Your second step is to write out just the formula for any line, and that's y equals mx plus b. You always just write this down, okay? Now what you're going to do is substitute in this information and solve for b. So if I know that the y has to be -1, okay, the slope has to be -4, and the x has to be 8, but we don't know the b, we just plug that all in. Now we have to solve for b here, so what we're going to do is -1, multiply this, we get -32 plus b. Next, we're going to add 32 to both sides. We add 32 to both sides, and this cancels. This becomes +31, and all that's left is b. So we found out what our b is. Now the third step is just to put in the information that we need. So the equation of the line is always in y equals mx plus b form. So we know our y is going to be equal to -4, that's our slope, with a y-intercept of 31. So the final thing you have to do is just plug in what your b is and what your slope is. Done. All right, this is the equation. Easy as that. Next one. The same idea, okay? So we want to write the equation of the line that passes through -2, 4, and it's perpendicular to this line. Now, if you look at this, it's not in y equals mx plus b form. So the first thing we're going to even have to do before starting is put this into y equals mx plus b form. So what we're going to have to do here is just divide everything by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. And we get y equals 2x plus 2. All right, now we can start. So 1, we know it's going to have to be perpendicular. So it's, remember, that's the negative inverse. So we're going to take our slope, which is 2, flip it over, and add a negative sign to it. So this is -1/2. The x value that it's going to have is -2, and the y value it's going to have is 4. Okay? We just write out those things, m, x, and y. Remember, I got x and y from the point that it has to pass through. 2. Let's move this down a bit. Oop, oop. Okay, 2, we're going to write out y equals mx plus b. Let's try this again. Y equals mx plus b. And we just plug in. Our y is going to have to equal 4. Our m is equal to -1/2. Our x is equal to -2. And once again, we're solving for b because we don't know what that part of the equation is. Well, we're going to simplify. So -2 times -1/2. If I put that in the calculator, it gives me 1 plus b. I subtract 1 from both sides, subtract 1, subtract 1. This cancels, and I get 3 is equal to b. So finally, to write my equation, it's just y equals, I plug in my m, which is -1/2 x plus 3. And that is how it is done. Oops. Okay, so this is our third and final problem. We want to write the equation of a line that represents a line that is parallel to the line whose equation is this and passes through 1, 2. So we know it has to be parallel. That's a key word here. So we know the slopes are going to be the same. So the first thing we're going to do is identify the slope. M equals 3/2. Okay? Because it's parallel, it's the same. 2, we're going to identify our x and y. So our x is going to have to equal 1. We're just getting it from this point. It's going to have to pass through 1. And our y is going to have to equal 2. The second thing is just to write out y equals mx plus b and substitute everything in. So we know y is equal to 2 equals 3 halves for m times 1 plus b. Now, I know you might be freaking out here because when we multiply 3 halves by 1, we just get 3 halves. And what do we do now? Well, it's actually not that bad. It's the same thing we would always do. All we have to do is subtract 3 halves from both sides. So we're going to subtract this 3 halves. And we're not going to freak out because literally we can just plug it into the calculator. So I'm going to put 2 minus 3 halves into my calculator, and I end up with just 1/2 equals b. So finally, I just have to write out my equation. So it's going to be y is equal to, now remember my slope has to be 3 halves. Okay? So y equals 3 halves x plus our b, which is just 1/2. All right? So this is parallel because it has the same slope. We found our b. We look in the answer choices, and look at that. It's number 1. All right, that's it, kids. And remember, don't look Mr. Elizondo in the eye for more than 2 seconds, or he will fight you.